Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So we were out here a bit later last night than I wanted to be, but I did get quite a bit done. I got all the brake lines done on the white car. I got the staging brake and everything hooked up. Like I said, I still got to tighten down that bulkhead fitting whenever I can get the wife out here to give me a hand with that. And then I got the brake line bent up for the blue car here. So that one's ready to go. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put the spindles in the blue car, and then I'm going to put the brakes and everything on it, and then I'm going to open the bleeders on the rear, and then I'm going to put some brake fluid in and see if I can gravity bleed while I do some other work on the white car here. And then once the rear's kind of got some clean brake fluid coming out, then I can just close the bleeders, move to the front, and make sure that we're not super low on brake fluid, and then start see if the front will bleed for me as well. The only downside to this is when I sent the calipers out to get powder coated the first time when I did these, I actually sent out 2 driver's side calipers, and neither one of us paid attention. And when I got it back and I put it all together, I even had it sitting on the bench, and then I went to put it in the car and the bleeder was on the bottom, and I was like, oh really? I really did that? But I mean, I dealt with it. So what I actually did to bleed it was I took the caliper assembly and I span it without bending the hose or anything because there's enough slack in it, and then I put it on the rotor, and then I had somebody help me foot bleeding it. So I had the caliper itself backwards on the front, so the bleeder would be on the top. That way I got it bled out, and then once we were good, I just flipped it back over and put it in the car, or bolted it back in. So it's still cleared. I mean, it cleared the wheel and everything. It wasn't a problem, but just bleeding it obviously is an issue because you want the bleeder on the top because that's where the ear is going to be, not on the bottom. So I mean, I did make that mistake. So I mean, it is what it is. But once I get all that put together, then this car will be in a spot where I can go ahead and put some wheels on it and roll it outside if I have to do something with it, or if I need the garage space or anything like that. But that will also be a big push because this is going to be almost the last parts that I need to put the suspension together. Now, the rear control arms aren't in the car, but I can still kind of tie something through them like a rope or bolt some stock control arms back in it so I could roll the car out if I ever did have to. But I don't think that's going to be a problem for me, because all I'm going to do really is I'm going to set the car on the ground because the jack stands that it's sitting on are unfortunately the recalled jack stands from Harbor Freight. So I do have to put this car on the ground at least to get those done, and then when I get it back I can put it in the air. So I mean, if I set it on the ground without the rear control arms in, the tension strut should be enough to keep the wheel from just walking out on it. But it should also be flat enough that when the tire sits on the ground, it's not like it's going to push the tire out. It should kind of just sit on the tire, and that'll be it, unless somebody's bouncing around on it or we start pushing it around. Then it might walk its way out, but we're not gonna do that, at least until the rear control arms are in. So as soon as I get those jack stands back, or the replacements, or whatever this recall does, then I could put the car back on jack stands and we can start plugging away at everything else. But at least now at this point, everything in the underhood is done, because I got the fuel line done, I got the brake lines are all ready, everything's ready to go. So now what I can do is go ahead and take everything back off, and we can start prepping the bay for the paint. So I did order everything, I'm just waiting on it all to show up. So I got some electric blue primer and 2K clear coat that we're going to do the bay with. And then as soon as that stuff's done, we'll get the engine taken care of, and then we'll get that together with the trans, and then we'll drop that in, because I did get the replacement bearing from Rock Auto. I already got the warranted one. I got this disc that we're going to use. Pressure plate and flywheel are in the back of the car. And then, I mean, that's everything. I have the transmission, it's ready to go. I do have a Wicked fork that I'm going to use. Best fork on the market. What you get for what you pay, you can't beat it. I mean, it's a really great quality part, and it's going to last you a really long time. I'm going to try and get the suspension stuff together in the front here, get the brakes hung on it, see if I can get the bleeders opened up, get this guy bleeding, and then and then while this one's bleeding, I drug the dash up here. It did get rained on because we got a storm and it was still on the other side of the shed. I never did grab it last night like I was gonna, but I mean, it is what it is. It's my own fault. So I do have it sitting out here. It's kind of just air drying off a little bit. I guess if it starts to rain, I'll pull it back inside. I'll have to bring it in and then figure out where I can mount it to what I have left in the car, and then actually be able to mount the cluster, because the cluster will mount to here, 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 and here, and then the connector actually just kind of locks into this spot. It has its own lock tab, and that's where the cluster, when you just set it in there, it kind of just plugs itself in. So it'd be nice if I could get this with the shelf and then be able to actually put the gauges on top. And I think that's what I might try and do, because realistically, it won't be super high. At least I don't think it would. So I'm definitely gonna try and give it a shot, even if I use stock gauge pods and just use a really short screw, just to make sure that it doesn't go through the body, or if I can get them back far enough that it will clear the cluster. So I'm definitely going to try and get all this stuff mounted and see what kind of room I got to work with. But it would definitely be nice if I could use use that shelf to mount gauges on. That way I won't have to worry about trying to find a way to mount those gauges to what I have there. And I mean, even if I can't use that plastic shelf, if I can use this, if there's enough that I can use with it and I can get away with just mounting them right to this aluminum bracket here for the steering column, then I'll probably just do that. But I mean, there's definitely options to what we're doing. Let's get this blue car here put together a bit, and then we'll start bleeding the brakes and we'll start working on the white one. First thing I'm gonna do is go around, break all four free, make sure they're gonna break free, and then if I gotta deal with one later on, I will, but we can at least bleed out the ones that will let me bleed. So you would always go from the furthest wheel from the master cylinder, and because the brake line comes across the firewall back of the car and then back over to the driver's side, and then back on this side to the passenger side, the driver's side one in this case is gonna be the longest. So the first one that I bleed is gonna be the left rear, and then the right rear, and then the right front, and then the left front. And I'm just working my way around the car that way. The last wheel I do is the one that I bleed first. And then we'll follow the rotation back. These ones should be okay. Oh yeah. And sorry for all the lack of excitement on that one. I'm sure you didn't want to see that again. And we got one more here. Damn spider. So we got her open. I'll dump some fluid in there and let her bleed. And I'm going to use .4 just because of the higher boiling temperature. It would have been nice to get some performance stuff, but this is all the parts store had, so I hope it works. I mean, everybody advertises their stuff at 155 Celsius, and this is the same, so boiling temps at 311 Fahrenheit. It already is dark. I mean, the wife did bring me out some food, so I had to stuff my face a little bit. So, we got this car back together. We're bleeding the brakes. Now we're going to start working on the interior with this one. Got a nice breezy post-storm night out here in Michigan. I mean, the only downside is the bugs, but I mean, it's like, I guess it's probably 70 degrees. I'm not sure how, I mean, the humidity is probably something like 75–80%. It's pretty muggy, but I mean, air temperature wise, it feels great. I mean, it would be perfect if I could actually be out here in one of these cars right now doing something, because this is definitely boost air. So I mean, it is what it is, but that's why I like living out here where I do, because let me walk away from my garage here. See it kind of fade away in the back. But yeah, I mean, this is nighttime where I'm at here. I did show a video earlier when the wife had the caliber out, and then here, turn the flashlight on, make sure I don't walk in a mud puddle. But yeah, I mean, you could see all the lights from my neighbors. That's probably a neighbor leaving their house right now. They're a half mile down the road. I don't know if you can catch the lightning bugs. I don't know if the GoPro's picking those guys up. There are a couple of them out here. But yeah, I mean, got the lights from the windmills, some lightning bugs. Other than that, it's peaceful out here, guys. It's real peaceful. So, like I said, got these brakes bleeding on the blue car here. We're gonna start working on the interior with this one. I was just grabbing the dash in, grabbing these wrenches, and I walked outside, and it was really nice. So, I figured I'd just take you guys for a quick walk and show you the nightlife out here. I'm gonna go ahead and rip this switch out of here fast. Wrong on all fronts. 20's close. Crap. It says it might be a 15. Just in case the 15 is too loose. Might work. It is a little loose, but we'll try. There is a good gap there. Holy mow. I might be able to mount my gauges. That would be sick. Damn, I can't believe I did that. Shit, I cut the bottom tabs off. That's no good. Dang, I can't believe I did that. Man. You're probably gonna notice that the screen just changed on the camera. So what I did was I accidentally must have hit the button or something and changed the settings on the camera and changed it to a 900 something pixel width. And I guess I don't really know how I did that or where I did that because it was always on 1080 before. But I just flicked it over. I was just running through the settings here and I changed it to 1080 and medium and then 60 frames per second and see if we can get some better video quality here. But I don't know how the medium is going to affect it, I guess. So if we're going to try the medium today, if I like it, I'll run with it. If not, then I'll go to the narrow because I really don't like the wide because it kind of gets more than you. Damn June bug. But it kind of gets more than you really need. So dash piece cut out of the cluster, but like an idiot I overcut, and there's a tab that comes down that supports for the cluster. I cut those off, and I do have another dash inside and I'm not 100% sure I want to cut it up yet. So I got these small pieces of metal here and it's already got holes in it, so I'm going to use the top hole and I'm going to mount it to the screw. I'm going to mount it like this using the screw for the plastic here, and then I'm going to drill a hole down here where I have to mount the cluster. I'm going to get all this stuff set in and then try to get it lined up to the cluster, at least get it marked, and then see if I can drill the hole with it all together and then just fit the bolt through. But if I can't, then you know I'll at least have the hole marked. I could take it out, get it drilled, put it back in, see where we're at, and then hopefully tighten this guy down and start moving forward. Now this shelf, or the cluster for the shelf, does kind of cover quite a bit. The cluster does come all the way back in here, so I can't really use much of this space anymore because that cluster actually takes up a lot of that. I wasn't sure how that was in relation to this because I've never really mounted one without it. So I mean, this part was new to me, putting it back together like this. So with that being said, I might try and still run the gauges on the shelf up here against the windshield, and if I can, then that would really work out. Because then I could have, like, you know, gauge, you know, I could have, you know, my 4 gauges right there, and that would be it. So, you know, wideband, boost, fuel pressure, or oil pressure, fuel pressure. That's the only 4 you really need. So that, and then I'll probably try and mount a shift light somewhere, which I'll probably get somewhere. I'll probably try and mount that guy like up here maybe. That might actually be able to work out, because if I could just drill the hole and then tuck the wire back behind the cluster and then run that to the WOT box, then I can just have the shift light kind of flash off inside of this tunnel somewhere, and then I'll be able to see it in this little pocket. Unless the cluster covers that up, which is a possibility now that I'm looking at it. I guess we'll see. We'll make that decision when we get there. But actually, it looks like we might be able to clear that. So I don't know. We'll run with it. But yeah, I'm gonna get these guys kind of set in here, and then get the cluster mounted in again. See where I got to mark it, and then suffer having to use this. I can't believe I did that to myself. But it is what it is. We'll deal with it and move on. Oh, well, managed to pull that one out of my ass. I mean, I kind of, like I said, I overdid it when I cut that plastic, and then I laid it in here after cutting those tabs, and I looked at that side and I was like, man, that's never gonna work. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to figure out what I gotta do for this. And then I came to this side, and luckily enough, that sheet metal rode just to the inside and along the edge of this. I mean, it fit perfect. So, got it marked, put the bolt in, and then I put the top screws in. The wire connector is also holding it in. And then I got this M6x1 bolt that I put through here with a nut on it. And then I got this guy tightened down. But I mean, I got super lucky. I mean that's me having to, you know, I mean, I'm pushing on it. Like, really, it's pretty solid, guys. I got super lucky. This little bracket here that I kind of whipped up out of this corrugated metal. I don't know. I guess I don't know what you call it. It's got a bunch of holes in it. Super lucky. So, cluster is now in. Now I know what I can work with as far as trying, and I cut that off pretty good, so that fit kind of nice. And that side, I did get the pocket. I mean, I could cut this off too, but I'm not sure yet. I might end up using this piece for a gauge mount maybe. And then, I don't know. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with my gauges here. But now that this is in, I could set them in and kind of eyeball it and see where I can get away with placing this stuff. I don't know where I'm going to be able to put the WOT box and the boost boxes. I don't think I'm going to be able to get, I don't think I'm going to get away with putting those up there. So what I might do with those is I might just mount them right to this plate here. I'll get a, like a piece of carbon fiber or something that I could bolt two pieces of, have two nuts in it, you know, take a piece of carbon fiber or something and then put two holes and then have a couple of drop through bolts and then nuts on the back. And then bolt the plate down and then do the same thing towards the front. I could just drill a hole through whatever's there and then have them kind of hang off a little bit, and then I could mount the WOT box and boost boxes to them with some Velcro, and then keep those guys kind of out of the way and in a convenient spot where they can be moved relatively easy. I mean, I got the harnesses for all the gauges right here. I am gonna pull the trigger on that boost gauge. I'm gonna grab my gauges and see where I can try and mount stuff, and then once we got some things mounted, once I know where I can actually place gauges, I'll know what I can do with my wiring. Pull all this stuff apart, get the harness out of here, and then I'll start making moves with what I'm going to do with that harness to get it cleaned up and get everything ready so I don't have extra wires just kind of hanging out in random places and having it look a little bit ugly. So I do want to clean it up a bit, keep things easy. I don't even know what time it is, but we're going to see what we can do here. I hate these June bugs. These things are kind of annoying. Oh, that shift light would work perfect too, guys, but I'm just kind of eyeballing this. If I can get a short enough screw and run this into the cover here, this would be a super convenient spot for this. If I got some more stock boost gauge pods, I guess I could mount them all along here. Or, let me see if I got another one of these pods. Oh, look at that. Got lucky. Well, let's see what we got. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but I can shine some light in here. I do have a little bit of a gap. I might be able to use that to my advantage. So I would do one gauge here, and then another one right next to that, probably right here, kind of facing inward a little bit more. And then I'll do a gauge here, and then another gauge here. Sitting in here, this gauge pod, in my view, and I am sitting flat on the floor, like there's no seat in here. Even still, sitting here, this gauge is still under the black line of that windshield, so that's in a good spot. So these gauges aren't going to be in my way. I didn't get a chance to actually mount them, but I know what I'm going to do with them and where the wires are going to be. So I think what I'm going to try and do is get rid of all of this stuff, except for what I'm going to need for the boost box and the WOT box, and that'll be it for there. And then I'm going to come over to this side, and then I'm going to steal the ignition and battery powers for my gauges straight out of this fuse box. I'm gonna try and see if I can find a couple leads that I got coming out of this one, see if I can use that stuff up, take advantage of the wire on this side, get rid of as much of this stuff as I absolutely can, clean all that out of there, and then we're gonna go ahead and sling this harness back together. The gauges will hopefully be here by that point. I can try and get the interior back in here, but I mean, at this point, once I can get the harness back in the car, then I will be able to try and key it up, see if we can make oil pressure. If we got oil pressure, I'll fix the fuel leak. We'll put some fuel in it. We'll see if she takes off. We're getting there, guys. We're making strides. I don't have enough of a wheel to cut the other door out. That's why I haven't done that yet. I've been meaning to grab discs and I just keep forgetting. Let me turn the radio down. Well, here, let me do this. There. Not as bad now it's kind of quiet, but it's going to echo a little bit. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much wrapped up for the night on this car. I'm just going to start pulling everything back apart. There ain't really a whole lot of point of filming that. Like I said, I'm just going to get rid of this bracket now. I'm not going to use it, so thank God for this other one. Oh man, that thing saved me on this deal, because I was really bummed. I didn't want to have to cut another dash up, but this bracket saved it. Having these two and then adding this little L bracket like this one on this side here really worked out for me. Kind of saved my ass there. I also have some grip tape that I've had for years. I had a buddy of mine get some before Surf Skate and Wheel in Bay City did close, and they've been closed for years. But or maybe Zoomies. Maybe he got it at Zoomies before, but it was before Surf Skate and Wheel closed. But he got me some mob grip tape, and I'm gonna put that on all the pedals here. So I've been meaning to do that. I was gonna do that last year and I never did, but we're definitely gonna do it this year. I have it. It's inside. Like I said, I've had it for years. I hope the sheet's still sticky. I'll have to peel some of the other stuff off and see if it is. But if it is, we're gonna do it on those pedals. That car, I'm gonna leave the stock pedal covers on it. Yeah, guys, like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this one all back apart and then take it back inside, and then we're gonna probably fiddle around with some wiring. I got the engine harness ready for the blue one here, so the next couple days we might spend inside doing wiring. Like I said, once we get that stuff taken care of and back out here, then we can start slinging everything back together. I'm gonna get this one wrapped up for the night, guys. Definitely check out our Facebook, check out our Instagram pages. Links in the description as always. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, comment with any questions you guys might have. You guys have yourself a good one. Stay safe, stay clean, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.